Welcome to a short demonstration of integrated business planning for finance. In this demo we are going to log in as a user into our web-based workflow screen here, and we can see once the screen is available that there are a couple of activities waiting for us. So here we see 4 activities are waiting for us, and we switch into the details, and then we can see that these 4 activities are based on the fact that we are responsible for 4 individual cost centers that we need to work on. So we select, for example, the second cost center here, and as every planning process, we want to make sure that we are giving a signal that we are working on this cost center. So we use the concept of work status actually to show our colleagues that we are working now on the planning and reporting phase for the second cost center. Here you can see actually in the background the cost center hierarchy structured directly out of the ERP master data. I select my second cost center, select the kind of plan scenario that I'm working on. We call it here plan 2. Could be optimistic, pessimistic, or something similar. We select the time period on that we are working on, and then we actually change the work status from initial or unlocked into in progress, which means that I'm currently working on that. So this is now visible for everyone, and everyone knows that I'm working on this specific cost center. As every planning process, also this process here in our demo starts with an analytical phase, which means I opened the linked Excel workbook behind that, which is shown here in the Analysis for Office environment, and we can see actually here the numbers from June and July. So June is already passed, and we see there is an alert by that yellow icon, and we want to know more, so we pull in the orders, and we can see actually that this alert of my cost center was created here because we have more budget on the not assigned orders than was consumed. So maybe there was a booking missing, and I want to correct that information, so I can directly jump from here into my ERP screen and correct this. So here we are now in our ERP transaction for posting GL data. We define the specific key dates that are required for that posting, and as this is a late posting in June, we select the last day of June here, the right period, and then we are working on these specific selected GL accounts here. So we enter the number of the GL account. We need to select the balance side, of course, and then we enter the amount that was missing. And of course we can associate that posting towards a specific cost center here, so that it will exactly be visible in that selection that we had in our workbook before. To make sure that the balance ends up, we have of course the counter booking here with the other side of the balance with exactly the same amount. And in the end we can validate that, and then if everything is okay, we are using the post function to actually create a new document in our ledger. So this document has a number. Now we just refresh, and you can see here from the 0 before we now see 600, and this is really the real-time actuals integration, and it goes even one step further. We can drill down to the document detail level. We don't need to leave the Analysis for Office environment, we just jump here, and then we can see exactly that document with that document number that was just created before in our ERP. So, and this is really what we understand about real-time data integration. So you have the full granularity of data, and you don't need to wait for any loading processes anymore. Assuming we also want to change master data, we can, for example, change master data of this cost center. So we use the web-based ERP screens here to maintain our cost center 3352. We select the cost center, and we can, for example, change the description or the text of this cost center. We can do any other changes that are possible, and they are also all reflected immediately. So here we're changing from M2 to A2, saves that. That's directly active inside ERP, and as well as in the planning area. So if I switch back to my Analysis for Office Excel workbook, hit the refresh button, you can see what before was M2 is now A2. And there is no loading processes anymore needed. This is really active as soon as you hit the save button in ERP. Next step would be to really go into the planning process. Therefore, we are going to hide the June data and work on the July data, as July is the next month. And we are taking the assumption that we have a new cost center 3354, which is a split of the cost center 3353. So if we're going to split a cost center, we usually reduce budget. So we take this amount here from the old cost center and reduce it, for example, to 3,500, and add additional 3,000 to the new cost center. We just do it on the result rows, hit the recalculate button, and you can see that automatically it will use disaggregation logic here, and it will split the amount of budget across the different GL accounts and the internal orders that I have selected here in this planning screen. Of course, we can do this also from a top-down view. So we, for example, pull away the orders from the screen and just work on cost center GL account structure. And we don't want to touch the cost center 3351 and 2. So we lock these cost centers and we go to the overall sum and change it, for example, to 40,000. Hit the recalculate button, and the next moment you can see that the values, the budgets for the other two cost centers has been changed according to the new value. If I go here now and want to see more details, I pull in the orders, and you can see that the changes have been also affected on the internal order dimension. So it's not only for the things that you actually see in the screen you plan. So this is a very good way to plan from a top perspective, but still keep all the details and execute on that. So I save the data, and next step I'm going to change actually the work status. So assuming that this is now finished for my cost center, I select again my cost center in the work status configuration here, and for the plan 2 and for this period, I make sure that everyone knows that I'm finished with the planning part, and I can, for example, send this data now for approval, so that someone else from a higher authorization perspective can review the data actually, and then approve these data so that they are finalized for the budget for the July timeframe. And you can see here it's sent for approval. People get notified. I set it to complete, so that from a process monitoring perspective, everyone knows that I have finished the reporting and planning part for that specific cost center. So this overview is visible not only to me but also to others. And with that, I'm finished my planning process and have demonstrated how tight integrated business planning is actually integrated into the ERP world, and how fast data can be accessed.